1. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. In our youth, friendships often revolve around fitting in, seeking approval, and maintaining social status. We attend gatherings, engage in conversations, and strive to be part of the crowd. But as we age, we realize that our worth isn't determined by others' opinions. Take Harold, for instance, a man in his early 70s who spent most of his life climbing the corporate ladder. Surrounded by colleagues and acquaintances, he believed these relationships were genuine. However, upon retirement, many of these connections faded. Initially, he tried to maintain these ties, but soon questioned their authenticity. Why invest energy in relationships that were merely circumstantial? Harold shifted his focus inward, rediscovering old hobbies and embracing activities that brought him joy. He found freedom in not having to impress others, realizing that true fulfillment comes from within. By letting go of the need for external validation, he experienced a newfound sense of peace and self-worth. 2. Peace becomes more valuable than socializing. As we age, the allure of constant social interaction diminishes. The once exciting gatherings and conversations may start to feel draining. Instead, we begin to cherish tranquility and solitude. Consider Margaret, a 74-year-old who once had a bustling social calendar filled with lunches and group calls. Over time, she noticed these interactions became repetitive and less fulfilling. Some friends only called to complain, while others engaged in gossip. The joy of companionship had turned into a routine she no longer enjoyed. Margaret decided to step back, embracing the quiet, and focusing on activities that brought her peace, like reading and spending time in nature. She discovered that solitude wasn't synonymous with loneliness. Instead, it offered a space for reflection and rejuvenation. 3. Solitude enhances self-awareness and emotional well-being. Spending time alone allows for introspection and self-discovery. Without external distractions, we can reflect on our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This self-awareness leads to better emotional regulation and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Engaging in solitary activities like journaling, meditation, or creative pursuits can be therapeutic. These practices provide an outlet for processing emotions and gaining clarity. By embracing solitude, we cultivate resilience and a stronger sense of self. 4. Independence and freedom. Flourish in solitude. With age comes the opportunity to prioritize personal freedom. Without the obligations of maintaining numerous social ties, we can focus on our own needs and desires. This independence allows us to make choices that align with our values and interests. Solitude offers the chance to explore new hobbies, travel, or simply enjoy the peace of one's own company. By embracing this freedom, we can lead a life that's authentic and self-directed. 5. Quality over quantity in relationships. As we age, we tend to value deeper, more meaningful connections over a large social circle. We seek relationships that offer genuine support and understanding. By focusing on quality over quantity, we can foster bonds that enrich our lives. This shift allows us to invest our time and energy into relationships that truly matter, leading to more fulfilling interactions and a stronger sense of community. 6. Redefining social norms and embracing personal growth. Society often emphasizes the importance of social connections, but it's essential to recognize that solitude can be equally valuable. By challenging societal expectations, we open ourselves to personal growth and self-discovery. Embracing solitude allows us to redefine our identities and pursue passions without external pressures. In doing so, we create a life that's aligned with our true selves, leading to greater satisfaction and well-being. In conclusion, while friendships can be enriching, they aren't a necessity in our later years. Embracing solitude offers numerous benefits, from enhanced self-awareness to greater independence. By focusing on personal well-being and authentic living, we can lead a fulfilling life on our own terms. continuing from the idea that embracing solitude brings a unique kind of peace. It's important to understand that at this stage in life, you're no longer required to fill your days with constant activity or endless conversations just to feel connected. Instead, you get to truly enjoy your own company, free from the pressure of seeking validation from others. You have the freedom to choose peace over pressure, calm over chaos. So if you've ever felt a twinge of guilt for stepping back from social obligations, remind yourself this: you're not withdrawing from life. You're embracing a deeper, more personal fulfillment, the kind that arises from within, independent of anyone else's presence or approval. And this kind of peace, it only grows richer and more meaningful with age. If you're still with me, and these insights resonate, please type 2 in the comments below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do so, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now let's talk about something many find challenging. Fewer friendships often mean fewer disappointments. One of life's hardest lessons is realizing not everyone you once called a friend is truly there for you. Over the years, you've probably experienced this yourself. People who were once close drift away. Friends who become distant just when you need them most, relationships that end up being one-sided. By the time you reach 70, you begin to see that having fewer friendships doesn't just lighten your social calendar. It also reduces the emotional setbacks that come with unmet expectations. Friendships, no matter how strong, come with their own demands. There's an expectation to check in, to be available, to offer support. But what happens when these expectations aren't returned? Disappointment follows. Have you ever called someone and waited for a call back that never came, or made an effort to reach out only to find it wasn't reciprocated? You may have found yourself giving more than you receive. And at this point in your life, do you really want to carry that kind of stress? Most likely the answer is no. Take William's story as an example. At 78, he's seen friendships come and go. Some ended naturally, others faded because he realized he was always the one putting in the effort. There were people he'd known for decades who suddenly became too busy, too distracted, and simply uninterested in keeping a genuine connection. At first, it stung. He questioned what he might have done wrong, why some people seemed to forget about him. But then William had an important realization: he hadn't changed. He just stopped tolerating friendships that weren't mutual. When you let go of the need to maintain a large group of friends, you also release yourself from the disappointments tied to unmet expectations. You no longer have to feel frustrated when someone doesn't check in, or heartbroken when a friendship fades away. Instead, you get to focus on the most important person in your life, yourself. And make no mistake, this doesn't mean isolating yourself. It simply means choosing quality over quantity. Instead of juggling a long list of acquaintances, you prioritize relationships that truly matter, the ones that bring you joy and don't require constant effort to maintain. Whether that's family, a lifelong friend, or even a deep connection with yourself, those are the bonds that count. So if friendships have ever felt more like a burden than a blessing, remember, it's perfectly okay to step back. It's okay to choose simplicity over complexity, peace over frustration. You don't need a lengthy list of friends to feel fulfilled. You just need to let go of those who were never truly there to begin with. Another key truth at this age is that your time becomes incredibly precious. As you grow older, you start to see time as your most valuable resource. When you were younger, it might have seemed like you had endless hours, more time to socialize, more time to invest in your social circles, more time to worry about who was in or out of your life. But by the time you reach 70, your perspective shifts. You begin to understand that every hour, every day, every single moment is precious. And when you truly grasp the value of your time, you naturally become more selective about how you spend it. Friendships, as fulfilling as they can be, also require time and effort. There are calls to make visits to schedule plans to keep. While some connections are absolutely worth maintaining, many are simply habits carried over from the past relationships, held out of obligation rather than genuine joy. At this point, you have every right to ask yourself, is this really how I want to spend my time? Does this friendship add to my happiness? Or does it feel like just another thing on my to-do list? Consider Richard's story. Now in his early 80s, he once enjoyed a busy social life full of dinner parties, group outings, and regular phone calls. But over time, his feelings shifted. Those long conversations that used to be delightful became draining. The social gatherings that once excited him began to feel like obligations. One day, sitting through yet another lunch filled with small talk and complaints, Richard had an epiphany. He didn't want to spend his time that way anymore. So he made a conscious decision. He stopped saying yes out of habit and started saying no when he simply didn't feel like going out. Instead of spending hours catching up on gossip or listening to complaints, he devoted his time to things that truly brought him joy. Reading, walking, learning new things, and savoring the peacefulness of his own company. Surprisingly, Richard didn't feel lonely. In fact, he felt more fulfilled than ever because he was spending his time doing what mattered most to him, not what others expected. That's the key. When you let go of unnecessary friendships, you gain something far more valuable: time for yourself. Time to pursue your passions. Time to enjoy life at your own pace. Time to focus on your own happiness instead of trying to meet everyone else's needs. So if you ever find yourself wondering whether to maintain certain friendships, ask yourself honestly, is this the best use of my time? Building on the idea that your time truly belongs to you. It's important to remember at this stage in life, you owe no one your hours or energy. You've earned the freedom to spend your time exactly as you choose, without guilt or obligation. If you're still here finding these reflections meaningful, please drop a 4 in the comments to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Your support means the world to us and keeps this channel going strong. Now let's dive deeper. Number 5. True companionship comes from within. There's a widespread myth about aging that to be happy, you must surround yourself with a large circle of friends. But the truth, as many discover by their 70s, is far more profound. The most essential companionship is the one you nurture within yourself. After decades of living, learning, and evolving, you know yourself better than anyone else ever could. And with that self-awareness comes a powerful realization. You are enough. For most of our lives, we're taught to seek happiness in others. We believe being social is the key to fulfillment, and that loneliness is something to fear. But there's a subtle yet vital difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Some of the happiest souls in their later years are those who have embraced solitude not as isolation, but as a rich opportunity for self-discovery, reflection, and inner peace. Take Eleanor, for example. At 76, she once thought constant socializing was necessary to feel fulfilled. She was always making plans, checking on friends, filling her calendar with activities. But over time, she noticed something unsettling. Despite all the social interaction, she often felt drained instead of energized. Eleanor realized many of her friendships were rooted in habit, not genuine connection. Even worse, she found herself constantly adjusting her personality, changing what she said and did just to fit into conversations or meet social expectations, just to avoid feeling left out. Then one day she made a choice to stop. She began spending time with herself in the same gentle, caring way she might with a dear friend. She did the things she loved, listened to her own thoughts, and savored her own company. She took long walks without the need to call anyone. She visited cafes with a book instead of forcing small talk. She spent quiet evenings reflecting on her life rather than worrying about social obligations. To her surprise, she felt lighter, happier, and more at peace than she had in years. This is a truth many overlook. Genuine companionship isn't measured by how many people surround you. It's measured by how comfortably you can be alone with yourself. When you stop relying on others for entertainment, validation, or conversation, you unlock a freedom few ever experience. You no longer need distractions to fill your days. Instead, you become your own source of joy, wisdom, and fulfillment. And here's the beautiful part: when you truly enjoy your own company, the right people begin to appear naturally. Instead of chasing friendships out of loneliness, you attract those who respect your space, understand your values, and bring peace rather than pressure. So if you've ever worried that stepping away from certain friendships will leave you lonely, remember this: the best company you will ever have is already within you. And when you embrace that, you'll realize you were never truly alone to begin with. Number 6. Letting go opens the door to a more fulfilling life. One of the most empowering acts you can do after 70 is to let go. Let go of the pressure to maintain friendships that no longer bring joy. Let go of the belief that your social circle defines your worth. Let go of the idea that being alone means being lonely. Because the moment you release these burdensome expectations, you open the door to a life that is simpler, freer, and far more fulfilling. Many people cling to friendships out of habit, even when those relationships no longer add any value. They attend gatherings they don't enjoy, answer calls out of obligation, and keep up appearances because that's just how it's always been. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if you gave yourself permission to step away from friendships that felt like work and instead focused on what truly brings you happiness? Consider James, a man in his late 70s who believed staying socially active was essential to aging well. He made an effort to keep in touch with old friends, even when those friendships had grown distant or superficial. He filled his days with social obligations, thinking staying busy meant staying fulfilled. One day, James had a quiet moment of clarity. He realized he wasn't enjoying it. Conversations felt repetitive. Gatherings felt like chores. Deep down, he felt more exhausted than connected. So he made a conscious choice. He stopped forcing friendships that no longer felt meaningful. Instead, he began prioritizing what truly mattered to him. He spent more time outdoors, focused on his health, learned new things, and embraced the freedom that came with not having to meet anyone's expectations. In doing so, James discovered something incredible. He felt lighter, happier, and more at peace than ever before. That's the beauty of letting go. It doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world. It means making space for what truly fulfills you. It means realizing your happiness isn't tied to the number of people around you, but to how closely your life aligns with what you genuinely want. And here's what happens when you embrace this mindset. You stop worrying about who's in your life and start focusing on what brings you joy. You begin to appreciate the little things: waking up to a quiet morning, enjoying a hobby without distraction, feeling at peace with your own thoughts. Fulfillment doesn't come from maintaining friendships out of duty. It comes from living a life that feels natural and meaningful to you. So if you've ever felt pressured to keep up with certain friendships, ask yourself, is this truly adding to my happiness? Or am I holding on out of habit? Once you give yourself permission to let go, life becomes simpler, lighter, and more fulfilling in ways you never expected. If you're still watching and these insights resonate with you, please comment 6 below to let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to keep receiving valuable content. Your support helps us keep creating videos that inspire and inform. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on what we've explored. The idea that you don't need a large circle of friends after 70 isn't about isolation. It's about freedom. Freedom from unnecessary obligations. Freedom to choose peace over pressure. Freedom to embrace the life you truly want to live. By now, you've seen how stepping away from friendships that no longer serve you can actually bring more joy, more time, and more fulfillment than you ever imagined. What resonated most with you today? Was it the freedom to spend time on yourself, the joy of true companionship within, or the courage to let go? Maybe you've already started releasing friendships that felt like more work than joy. Or maybe this video opened your eyes to the power of choosing yourself. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below, sharing one key takeaway and how you plan to use it in your life. Your voice matters to us, and reading your comments gives us motivation and encouragement. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support allows us to continue creating content that inspires and informs. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.